Steve Kerr. Here's his response to the GMs not picking the Warriors to go to the NBA Finals.
It never did anything for me when people picked us, and doesn't do anything for me that they don't. It's just stuff, interesting stuff for fans to read, but nothing that's helpful or harmful to us, and definitely not any bulletin board material. I'm not posting that on the locker room wall. No GMs picked us to win the title. How does that make you feel, fellas? I don't know. I don't think anybody cares.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care.
Count us out.
Count us out. I like the underdog Warriors. I like them when they're counted out.
Can they be the underdog Warriors?
Yes. They got, according to a lot of people, they got smoked by the Lakers.
But games. Four-time champions can be under. I'm asking.
Yeah, because
were the Patriots ever the underdogs?
I think they were.
Okay.
I think the Patriots were the underdogs when they played the Falcons.
Okay.
I think they were a little underdog-ish when they played the Rams. Maybe. I don't know.
Against
Seattle? Against Seattle?
City?
The Legion of Boom?
I mean, those are like one-off matchups. I'm just talking about like in general. Because I don't know, my setting was always like, well, Patriots will just start in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah. I mean, but still, people thought the demise of the Patriots were coming. They didn't believe in Edelman. Yeah. They didn't believe in Amendola. Oh, they lost too much. Blah, 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 blah,
well,
blah.
After his
no-name defense.
First Hall of Fame career, Tom Brady went on to have a second Hall of Fame career and then a third act.
Yep. So
it's a good point.
I do like they traded Jordan Poole. They get Chris Paul, hated Warrior. They're older. Draymond Green gets a new contract. Klay Thompson doesn't have a contract yet. Kuminga, we don't know if he's ready to make the leap. So I do think people are overlooking the Golden State Warriors. I really do. Denver. People are talking about the Clippers now because Kawhi and Paul George are healthy right now. The Lakers.
They're healthy.
OKC supposedly coming. The Kings took them to 7. The Kings are on their way. So we'll see. We'll see.
How are we feeling about the Kings?
I'll get to them in a little bit. I'm not ready to give Damian Barling and Kenny Caraway some material. I'll give them content October 26th and 27th. Not right now. I love you guys up there. ESPN 1320. I also love CJ Holmes, who had himself one hell of a summer. One hell of a summer for CJ. He's about to be walking the ready ring like you, Joe Shasky, very, very soon.
Oh, is he?
He put his business out on Instagram, so I feel like the whole Bay Area. Congratulations, first of all, CJ. Yeah, one hell of a summer. Good to have you back on the road. Yeah, good luck with the rest of your life, CJ.
Y'all.
What's happening, my man? How's your summer been?
It's been great, man. Like you said, it's been fantastic. Got married back in August. And, good summer work-wise. Spent a week out at 10 days, actually, out at Summer League. Did a lot of good work. Spent a lot of time with family. It was a good run.
Yeah, and I saw you back at Auburn University as well, checking out the Tigers, and now you're back here for training camp for the Golden State Warriors. As we had one preseason game wrap up Saturday at Chase Center against the LA Lakers. Of course, they play Friday night again against the Lakers. 5 preseason games and all, and then of course season opener October 24th. So I guess we start with the big question that every Warrior fan has on their mind. CJ, how's Chris Paul fitting in?
So far, it seems pretty seamless. Now, granted, we've only seen one preseason game. This is preseason. You don't necessarily you're not going to see a lot of teams trying to, exploit weaknesses and things of that nature. But so far, it's been pretty seamless. Seems like Curry and Chris have been getting a lot of work in together after practices. Just based on what we saw in that first preseason alone, you kind of get a good vision for how this thing's going to work. Sometimes it's going to be Chris on the ball. Sometimes it's going to be Chris off the ball. And as preseason continues, I'm sure at some point we're going to get a look and see what Chris looks like playing some minutes with that second unit. See how he looks with guys like playing alongside guys like John Kaminga and Moses Moody. But so far it's been a pretty seamless transition for Paul. It'll be interesting to see how it all continues to come together as camp continues.
Yeah, seeing Curry and Chris Paul chuckling and yucking it up on the sidelines, it's still jarring, like really jarring. But it seems kind of sincere, right? To me, that's the way I'm interpreting it.
Yeah, to your point of it feeling jarring, it may not ever feel natural to Chris, to his teammates, or maybe his teammates, but to Warriors fans, in general. But yeah, it seems like the guys are getting along. The camera was fixed on Chris and Curry throughout last game, so you saw a lot of their banter on the sidelines, things of that nature. Again, it might not ever feel natural to fans, but the expectations over time will feel natural to the guys in that locker room. And Chris is supposed to expect to be an important piece to another championship puzzle here in Golden State. And so far, it's off to a promising start.
Jonathan Kuminga, he showed out in that first preseason game, CJ, 24 points, 8 of 14. Had the funny pass to Steph Curry, who was steadied out of bounds. But overall, I liked his activity. I liked his fit with Dario Saric. With that second unit, he had 8 rebounds, 4 assists. How serious is a thumb injury, and how well is Jonathan Kuminga coming around and adapting to this new squad?
Well, Jonathan was seen with a heavy wrap around his left hand yesterday at practice. We talked to Steve Kerr after practice, and he said, it's not anything serious, and he's expected to play on Friday. We'll see if that's actually true. The Warriors have been known to throw some curveballs here in the past, but Steve says he's good to go. He's good to go, but it was a really good performance for Jonathan Kuminga, especially considering, after the season last year, there were rumors that he's not happy with his role, and if he couldn't find more minutes, then, he'd like the team to facilitate a trade, but you didn't hear any of that as the summer continued. All you saw were videos of Jonathan in the gym working on his craft. We all saw the 60-point performance he had at the crossover Pro-Am in Seattle. And then he comes into his first preseason game. He leads the team in scoring. But more importantly, it's that rebounding. So those 8 rebounds, in my mind, that stand out the most. It's something that Jonathan has openly said that he's taking more of an initiative to work on this summer and heading into this season. He even told the media that he has the coaches stopping practice when he's not focused on the glass enough, and it's starting to show up in games. And granted, it's just one preseason game, but you'd be more worried if Jonathan Kuminga didn't have any rebounds, right? But he had 8 of them. It's all positive signs, and it all bodes well for a guy who's supposed to have a breakout third season this year.
I liked what I saw from Klay. There was a couple of shots that, he rushed and gunned them, but in terms of how his physique looked, he looks slimmer. And I like him playing that a little more stretch four, even though it's positionless basketball. I don't know. I feel like Klay's going to have a really nice year.
Klay's banking on a good year too. It's a contract year for him. And he also seems to be off that. Do you guys notice the theme here? The vibes are so positive right now.
Yeah.
But it's a big year for Klay. He's entering a contract year. I think Anthony Slater just dropped a story, getting some more insight into that. It seems like he's openly willing to talk about it, and it seems like he's just banking on a good performance for last year. Klay's last season got off to a slow start, ended slow, but in the time in between, he played fantastic. The guy became just the 3rd player ever to make 300 three-pointers in the season. So, objectively, it was one of the best shooting seasons in NBA history. For Klay, it all comes down to, staying healthy, keeping his head on straight and finding better consistency. If he can do that, I think a lot of people are going to be saying that the Klay Thompson of old is, still suiting up for the Warriors, and hopefully for him, that would be a big payday by season's end.
It'd also help having Andrew Wiggins, as we're talking to CJ Holmes at the San Francisco Chronicle, covers the Golden State Warriors, does a hell of a job doing that. You brought up the vibe, CJ, because I got the same vibe on media day. Draymond's laughing, he's smiling, he's dapping people up. Chris Paul was Chris Paul. He was chilling. Steph was Steph. The vibes are a lot better. And, we haven't talked about the punch since the season was over. We're kind of moving off of that. But, man, that obviously wrecked the season. And it feels like, in their own way, they're admitting that, what happened last year did derail the season, which is why they bowed out to the Lakers in 6 games. Now, the Lakers were better, but the vibes are all off all season. You know that, CJ, because you cover the team every day.
I think it's unfair to say that the punch derailed the entire season. I think that's unfair to put that all on Jordan Poole and Draymond.
No doubt.
Because, when February rolled around, still losing road games, you can't still blame the punch.
No doubt,
right?
No doubt.
But a lot of times it is about how you start and the tone it sets for the season ahead. And I can say, being a Chase Center every day, talking to these guys, talking to Steve, that the vibes are a lot more positive, and it's important for the team to have those vibes and get off to a strong start this year. Because last year, they kind of limped out the gates, right? They started 0-8 on the road or something of that nature. They can't have that this year, especially considering how competitive the Western Conference is. Steve Kerr even told us that this might be the most competitive he's ever seen the Western Conference. So it's imperatively important for the Golden State Warriors to get off to a strong start this season, and so far the vibes are trending in that direction.
I'm going to say this person's name, not to ask a question, but to see Bonte's head explode.
Oh, gosh.
Pajemski. He made some plays the other day, but that's not the guy that I'm focused on. There's like a log jam when it comes to all the short guys. You know, GP2, obviously Chris Paul, Steph Curry. There's just so many wings. Where does Moody fit in all this? Like, where do you see him ideally being utilized? I know it's going to evolve night to night, but where does he fit into this equation for this year?
Well, like you said, it's going to evolve, night to night. But, really I visualize Moody this season as Klay Thompson's direct backup at the 2. Gary Payton is more a positionless guy. And to be completely honest, he's utilized more as a very, very small four-man than he is anything else, just because of the way he likes to play. But in terms of Moses Moody, I expect him to get big minutes right behind Klay Thompson this year. Jordan Poole is gone. Donte DiVincenzo is gone. And, Steve said it yesterday, they're going to have to find a way to replace that production. Moody has done things the right way. He stayed quiet through his first 2 years in the league, continued to work hard. He hasn't complained about his minutes. And, with that kind of void in backcourt production, I see this as finally as a time for Moody to step in and, get the minutes he's, patiently worked for and at this point probably deserves.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well said there, CJ. Before we get you out of here, I got to ask a question about Dario Saric, because just watching the little glimpse on Saturday, a lot of fans wanted him. I wanted him. It just feels like he fits, right? The second unit, the starters, any combination, whether it's Steph or CP or Klay and CP, Wiggins and Steph, Saric feels like the perfect fit for this basketball team, CJ.
Following the Warriors' Game 6 loss to the Lakers during the playoffs last year, Steph sitting at the podium, one of the things he said is we just didn't have a lot of versatility this season. The Lakers were taking a lot of things away in that series, and it worked. And, we didn't have a lot of counters for it. I think this year versatility is a strength for the Warriors, and it starts with a guy like Dario Saric. Just another big man who can stretch the floor and who can play with Draymond and play with Looney. One of the big problems with the Warriors last year in terms of front court play was their spacing. It was hard to play, although Looney and Draymond started games together, it was hard to play them both at the same time because you sacrifice so much spacing. Now you got a versatile guy like Dario Saric, who we can't even say on paper anymore because we've seen him out there on the court in a preseason game, who's a perfect fit for this team. Mm-hmm. It was a small sample size for him, but you saw him knock down a trail three, and you're going to see a lot of that from him this year. I think he had a career year shooting the basketball last year, and this year he's going to have more space than probably he's ever had before at any point in his career. So huge offseason pickup for the Warriors. Dario fits the bill. He offers a boatload of versatility at that position that they simply didn't have last year. And I expect the Warriors offense to, run a lot more smoothly because of it. Yeah, especially during those non-Curry minutes when Steph's on the bench.
Yep, that's a good point there. Dario Saric talking to him at Media Day. He was excited to be here, and it just feels like a perfect fit. CJ, man, always good to talk to you. Basketball season's back, which means we'll have you on the show a lot more. Congrats on a hell of a summer. Congrats on getting married, man, and we'll continue to read your great work at the San Francisco Chronicle.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Anytime, CJ Holmes here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. A lot of fun there with CJ. I'm excited about the Golden State Warriors, Shasky. I mean, I say that every year, but it's just everything, man. Like, just walking around Media Day, it's like, wow, basketball's really back.